What's more valuable, owning a $2 million home that costs $50 a month to maintain, or receiving $500 a month in passive income after taxes? Most people's brains automatically choose the first option, but only the second will actually set you psychologically free. You see, net worth and cash flow create two completely different psychological relationships with money. They give you insight into your financial health, but from two vastly different mental frameworks. And depending on your wealth psychology, one can be psychologically superior to the other. Today, we're exploring the psychology behind these two wealth measurements and why understanding the difference can rewire how your brain thinks about money forever. Welcome to the Wealth Mind, where psychology meets prosperity. At its core, your net worth creates scorekeeper psychology in your brain. It's the total value of everything you own minus everything you owe. Net worth equals assets minus liabilities. The psychological appeal. Your brain loves net worth because it feels like a video game score. Assets are everything you own that holds value, cash, stocks, real estate, jewelry, businesses, even that painting you're convinced is worth something. Liabilities are what you owe: mortgages, credit cards, student loans. If you sold everything and paid every debt tomorrow, what's left is your psychological score. The net worth psychology trap. This creates accumulation psychology, the mental belief that wealth equals things you own rather than money you control. The generational wealth psychology data. Boomers held 21% of total US wealth by age 35. Gen X had 9% at the same age. Millennials own just 6% by age 35. The psychological reality. Despite rising education and productivity, each generation develops wealth, anxiety, psychology earlier because they're starting with fewer assets. But here's where net worth psychology becomes dangerous. For roughly 80% of people, their net worth exists only on paper. It's made up of two things: the house they live in and retirement accounts they can't touch. The illusion psychology. You can't sell your living room to pay rent. You can't access your 401k without penalties. This creates wealth illusion psychology, feeling rich on paper while being cash poor in reality. The psychology comparison. Person A, 500 0 home plus 300 0 retirement equals 800k net worth. Person B, 800 0 in accessible investments and cash, same net worth. Completely different wealth psychology and financial freedom psychology. Person A has developed asset prison psychology. Their wealth is locked away. Person B has wealth mobility psychology. Their money works and moves freely. The negative net worth psychology. Most people start with negative net worth, especially early in life. A 23-year-old with 40 0 student debt and 1 0 in checking has negative 39 0 net worth. The mental framework. This doesn't mean failure. It means your financial psychology is front-loaded with investment in future earning potential. When net worth psychology is useful: tracking progress over time, planning debt capacity, diversification analysis. Think of net worth as your financial weight psychology, useful for long-term tracking but doesn't tell you about daily financial fitness. Cash flow creates completely different brain chemistry than net worth. It's the actual money moving through your life on a predictable basis. Cash flow equals income minus expenses. The psychological power. While net worth shows where you've been, cash flow shows where you're going and how fast you can get there. The cash flow psychology reality. According to Bank of America Institute, 20% of American households live paycheck to paycheck, including those earning over $150,000 annually. The psychology behind this. They've developed income matching psychology. Their lifestyle automatically expands to match their income, creating financial treadmill psychology. The $1 million home psychology trap. You can live in a $1 million home and look wealthy while being one paycheck away from crisis. This is net worth illusion psychology, impressive on paper, fragile in reality. Cash flow equals option psychology. What makes cash flow psychologically powerful is that it gives you choice psychology. Work from anywhere, take calculated risks, say no to opportunities, handle emergencies without panic. The freedom psychology framework. People talk about financial freedom like it's a net worth number. Once I hit 1 million, I'm free. But real freedom psychology doesn't come from the number. It comes from income reliability psychology. If you're earning 5-0 monthly in passive income and spending less than that, you have functional freedom psychology, regardless of your net worth. The early retirement psychology. Most people who retire early don't do it by hoarding 10 million in net worth. They do it by developing expense coverage psychology. Their monthly costs are covered by predictable income streams. The psychological truth. If your income covers your lifestyle without requiring your time, you have liberation psychology. Predictability psychology. This is more psychologically important than amount. When income is predictable, you develop planning psychology, you can optimize expenses, take risks, and build new ventures. The defense psychology trap. If cash flow stops, you're constantly in survival psychology mode, no matter how impressive your net worth appears. Most successful people climb the same psychological ladder from dependency psychology to freedom psychology. Step 1. Active income psychology. This is time for money psychology, trading hours for dollars through jobs, contracts, or freelancing. The psychology trap. Most people get stuck here because they develop linear thinking psychology. More hours equals more money, but there's a ceiling to how many hours you can work. Step 2. Margin psychology. Margins are what's left after expenses. If you earn 4-0 and spend 500, your margin is 500. The psychological battle. 2 ways to increase margins: earn more or spend less. Earning more psychology. Most people focus here, but without spending discipline, you develop lifestyle inflation psychology, going from a 30-0 life to a 60-0 life to a 120-0 life while staying broke at every level. Spending discipline psychology. If you increase income while capping lifestyle, you unlock leverage psychology. Your margin becomes capital for wealth building. Step 3. Asset investment psychology. This is where cash flow psychology actually begins. Instead of letting money sit idle, you develop money working psychology. The investment psychology options: dividend paying stocks, rental properties, content creation, business partnerships. The goal psychology. Recurring, predictable income that doesn't depend on you showing up daily. Step 4. Systems psychology. Here you develop removal psychology, taking yourself out of the equation through automation and delegation. The systemization psychology. Automatic investments, property managers, content teams, automated contributions. The freedom formula. The more systemized your income, the closer you get to time-independent psychology, where your time isn't the bottleneck. Step 5. Coverage psychology. This is when cash flow becomes liberation psychology. Your basic lifestyle is paid for by the system you built. The psychological shift. Work becomes optional because you've developed choice psychology rather than necessity psychology. For decades, retirement was sold as destination psychology: work 40 years, save money, buy a house, build retirement accounts, then stop working at 65. The psychology assumption. Your net worth would eventually be enough to carry you through 20-30 years without income. The mathematical psychology reality. Median retirement account for ages 55-64 is 185-0. Ages 35-44 is 39-0. Nearly half of people 55 plus have saved nothing. Average retiree spending 50-0 annually. The psychology math. Even with 500, 0 saved, you're only covering 10 years without factoring inflation or emergencies. The mindset psychology shift. Retirement isn't a finish line psychology where work stops and money figures itself out. The burn rate psychology. Every person has a monthly burn rate, how much money it takes to maintain their lifestyle. The psychology enemy. If income stops but expenses continue, you develop bleeding psychology, slowly draining your net worth. The cash flow psychology solution. Burn rate of 4-0 per month. Net worth of 600-0 equals 12.5 years of runway. Cash flow system of 3-500 per month equals only $500 monthly deficit. Result, decades longer financial security. The psychological truth: you don't need millions to retire. You need income coverage, psychology, your cash flow covering your burn rate. The freedom psychology definition: retirement is about removing the need psychology to work by designing systems that pay you without showing up. Net worth psychology: scorekeeper mentality, status psychology, security psychology, long-term tracking, delayed gratification. Cash flow psychology: freedom mentality, mobility psychology, flexibility psychology, daily empowerment, present abundance. The psychological integration: you need both, but at different life stages, one becomes more psychologically important. Early career psychology in your 20s and 30s, net worth psychology dominates. You're building foundation psychology through education, first home, retirement accounts. Transition psychology in your 30s and 40s. Cash flow psychology becomes crucial. You need option psychology for family, career changes, opportunities. Freedom psychology in your 40s plus. Cash flow psychology should dominate. You want choice psychology and time independent psychology. Legacy psychology in your 50s plus. Integration psychology, net worth for transfer psychology, cash flow for lifestyle psychology. The psychological danger: many people get stuck in net worth obsession psychology and never develop cash flow thinking psychology. The mental model shift: question 1, how much am I worth? Question 2, how much freedom do I have? Both questions matter, but question 2 determines your actual quality of life psychology. The most successful people develop dual wealth psychology, understanding when to focus on net worth building versus cash flow creation. The psychological framework. Phase 1. Foundation psychology in your 20s to early 30s. Focus on net worth building. Psychology accumulation mindset. Actions: emergency fund, debt elimination, first property. Mental model: build the base. Phase 2. Transition psychology in your 30s to 40s. Focus on cash flow development. Psychology, income multiplication mindset. Actions: rental properties, business income, investment income. Mental model: create the machine. Phase 3. Freedom psychology in your 40s to 50s. Focus on cash flow optimization. Psychology, choice maximization mindset. Actions: systematic income, lifestyle design, time independence. Mental model: perfect the system. Phase 4. Legacy psychology in your 50s plus. Focus on integration of both psychology, impact, and transfer mindset. Actions: estate planning, family wealth, education, philanthropic systems. Mental model: build the legacy. The psychological integration principles. Early, build net worth for security psychology. Middle, build cash flow for freedom psychology. Later, optimize both for choice psychology. Legacy, transfer both for impact psychology. The mental model transformation. Net worth thinking asks, how much do I have? Cash flow thinking asks, how much do I receive? Integrated thinking asks, how much control do I have? The ultimate wealth psychology. When you stop asking, how much money do I need? And start asking, how much freedom do I want? Net worth tells you how wealthy you look. Cash flow tells you how free you actually are. The psychology principle. They're two faces of the same psychological coin, but they create completely different mental relationships with money. Net worth psychology benefits: progress tracking, goal setting, security building, status measurement. Cash flow psychology benefits: freedom creation, stress reduction, opportunity access, time independence. The integrated wealth psychology. The wealthiest people master both measurements, but prioritize cash flow for lifestyle design psychology. The final mental model. Build net worth to feel secure. Build cash flow to feel free. Integrate both to feel empowered. The psychology question. Which wealth measurement is driving your financial decisions? And more importantly, Which psychological relationship with money do you want to develop? If you want to master both net worth and cash flow psychology, subscribe to the Wealth Mind for weekly insights that transform how you think about building true wealth. Next week, the psychology of passive income, why your brain resists financial freedom. Until then, build wealth that works for your psychology, not against it.